So what's up? I know it's been a minute. You haven't seen my face in a long time, right? I know. But I had to come and talk to you a little bit about this Breakfast Club interview that I saw with the doctor. So, I obviously, like everybody else, saw the salacious article where they were talking about the doctor, right? Salacious article, I guess it was by the New York Post, saying, hey, this doctor says he does heroin, he does cocaine, and he does Molly every day, and he has no side effects, or something like that. And I was just like, kind of perplexed. Obviously, I have my own beliefs, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but I just wanted to kind of give you my preface, right? So, when I saw the interview Friday morning, I was like, yo, this interview is about to be hot. This is about to be great. I can't wait. We're going to have some interesting dialogue. I want to hear more about his story. I just want to understand where this is coming from. You know what I mean? I understand that people already have a preconceived notion, just like, like they used to fucking say about weed and shit, weed makes black men rape white women. Those type of preconceived notions they've already pushed onto society. So they have this preconceived notion embedded in your head because of somebody else, not the actual truth. So when they were talking to him, at first, I heard the little jokes at first. I'm like, okay, they're little jokes, being a little catty about the situation. Excuse me, I don't know what the fuck that is. They're being catty about the situation, insinuating that he has some type of mental defect. So he was doing this because he has some type of anguish that he just didn't identify, or he needed to go to therapy. When the whole freaking time he's saying, I'm not advocating drug use, but I'm not going to be stupid enough to say that people aren't going to do drugs. And you know what? What I found funny as fuck is that I've had this argument with people so many times, especially when you look abroad and you look at all the countries who said, X this, we're not doing the war on drugs anymore. All of their addiction rates plummet. And now you don't have people overdosing either. But, people don't want to see that. Obviously, the war on drugs, a lot of money. Law enforcement, they get a lot of money for the drug. Like, girl, I'm not going to even go into that whole situation. But the war on drugs, it creates a lot of money. Anyway, I'm going to make this short and sweet, so let me hurry up and finish. So, the little snide remarks. I'm not surprised if he catch it. They be throwing a whole bunch of shit if he never catches, right? The only one that actually caught it was Angela, and it's not surprising. She's the most receptive to things. But I was just baffled. And first of all, you're doing this to another black person. Y'all know how y'all reach touches. At least let's try to really have a conversation piece. You guys sit down and fucking talk to Rush Limbaugh. You can't talk to this black man? That's crazy. So on top of that, right, I'm just going to be 100%. I can watch the whole interview because I didn't like how they weren't even addressing anything. Not one iota of what he was saying. So I stopped there in 30 minutes. I stopped. I was like, yo, I can't do this. Now, if somebody wants to engage with me at the end and see what it was, I might go watch it in a couple weeks or so and say, hey, okay, they had a nice dialogue. But, even going through the comment section and reading what everybody was saying, it just almost made me feel like they were trying to humiliate this dude. He's educated. He's an intellectual. And what he's saying actually has merit. We can see his results in other countries. People are going to do drugs. And to be honest with you, people experiment, right? When I was young, really young, I was about 17, I used to tell people, I don't have a problem with drugs. I think they should legalize drugs. I think you can make way more revenue on drugs than the war on drugs. Once you regulate it, you're able to control. First of all, you'll shut down all the cartel. What do you call it? the cartels, sorry, you'll 86 that right away, right? No cartel business. That shit's gone. And then on top of that, sorry, I was looking at something. On top of that, you now can tax like you're doing weed. You can tax all of these drugs. You can create special places where these people can go, special tests, just a whole gambit of industries could be created based on these drugs, and it's monitored and it's made sure people are doing them safely. And because it is controlled, you can control people's addiction as well. So when I personally think you should legalize it, a lot of people have always argued with me, like, well, are you doing this promoting drugs? Like, no, you're not listening. And I think we don't do that enough. And that's one thing I have to fault them on the Breakfast Club. They didn't listen. Charlamagne and Envy just did not listen. They didn't want to hear anything he wanted to say because of that preconceived notion that's been embedded in their head that drugs are bad. But then Charlamagne says, well, I'm okay with psychedelics. I'm okay with a little acid drop. I'm okay with a little shrooms. That's a drug. So you just, girl, drugs are drugs. And you either don't like none of them or you like all of them. You shouldn't be able to say, well, these few drugs, these right here, are great. But no, those are bad. The opioid crisis, I'm not going to get into that. That's another story, another topic, and that'll make this video way longer. But like I said, I just wanted to talk about that video and how I was disappointed and how I hope that it sparks more conversation. You know what I mean? We definitely should have more conversation based on this. I think the legalization of drugs would change this country tremendously. And I think because it will change this country tremendously. And I think because so many people have been locked up because of the war on drugs, that'll be a real hard shift. And a lot of people would have to pay prices that normally wouldn't have to by locking up people and letting people go based on just drug charges. It's a real serious subject we should be having. There have been studies that show that certain psychedelics actually help with certain mental illness, right? And one more thing before I go. I understand that Charlamagne is in therapy, and that's lovely, that's a beautiful thing. But how are you, shrinking him? I was baffled by that. Bro, I get it. You've hurt yourself. You've helped yourself, and you've gone through the process, and you understand what it looks like. But now to insinuate another man has some type of deficiency or he has some type of mental health issue based solely on something you don't understand when he is saying it in your face, that just seems real irresponsible, bro. And I hope that you guys can look at the video and actually see yourselves doing some weird thing. Now, you might not get this analogy, but I'm going to tell you. I felt when I watched it, it was like arguing with people who believe the Civil War wasn't about slavery, right? You'll argue the facts with them. Hey, this is what was said, this is what was done, this is what Lincoln said, this is what blah, blah, blah. But this person will say, no, it was all about slavery, blah, 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 blah. And even though you are arguing the facts and the facts are real, this person refuses to listen to you because they believe this wholeheartedly. That's exactly what that conversation was. And it made me think two things. It made me think damn, we have a serious problem with understanding in America. And two, well, maybe they on their old shit. Maybe Envy and Charlamagne, they might just be getting to that point of life where, you're no longer young. You start to fall in those old ways, you dig? So I just wanted to get that grievance off my chest. I'm not here to offend or bash anybody because I don't want it to be taken out of context. Excuse me. I was just really disappointed with the interview. I really was. I was so disappointed I had to pull out my camera while I am working to say something about it. So hopefully I get to disappoint about something else, girl. So I could do some more videos, I guess. Anyway, it's broken. I'm out. I'm about to get back to work. So you have a fabulous day and enjoy yourself. And people for real. If we want to engage in real talk and we actually want to have a real conversation, then leave some comments. But if you're just going to just press your opinion on and say that's God, that's word, that's bond, I'm not trying to hear that. So let's go.